Good morning. I'm John Ellsworth, founder of Success Strategies Incorporated and the creator of the Success Strategy Advantage. And I want to thank you for listening today. I want to talk about something I call, will you thrive or just survive? I think there's a lot of challenges in the agricultural industries today. We have interest rates that have been high for several years, with the Fed raising them a couple of years ago. They're finally starting to come down, so we're getting a little relief there. But a lot of costs due to the ridiculous inflation caused with the money handouts during the early 20s, particularly in 2021, has just been devastating for a lot of producers. And of course, regulations have been constantly piled on until just recently. And I think that in itself can be a real burden for producers. But I want to ask yourself, are you positioning yourself to thrive or just simply survive? Because there's a big difference in the approach. Now, I may sound like the eternal optimist, but I think it's more important that we quit worrying about surviving and start thinking about thriving rather, excuse me, that we really focus on thriving. There's a couple steps I'd like to suggest to you. Number one, skip the worrying. Quit worrying. It only clouds your thinking. It doesn't help you come up with good plans for a positive future. And as Mark Twain so accurately stated, worrying is like paying interest on a loan you never owed. And it's kind of ridiculous in that sense. So first of all, skip the worrying phase. Number two, ask yourself this question. This isn't high level. Anybody can handle this. What must you do to get better? In other words, what can you do to boost efficiencies? What can you do to reduce some costs? What can you do to make your operation much more efficient and successful? So that's number two. Number three, let's fine tune your revenue and expenses. Are there some changes you've been putting off? Are you carrying extra labor that really you could do without, but when milk prices, corn prices, whatever it is you're selling were high, you could get away with having an extra full-time equivalent? So that's just one example. Fine-tune your revenue and expenses. Number four, I've already done the first two budgets for 2026 for two of my clients, and their focus really was on labor efficiency, feed costs, since it was a dairy operation, and insurance, which they have wisely bid out. I had a client that recently bid out their insurance, and they cut their insurance by 40% for 2026 compared to the prior year. It appeared that they were funding a lot of frivolous benefits for the insurance provider, such as box seats and things like that at the football game. Anyway, focus on the labor efficiency, feed efficiency, and things like insurance and even repairs are something to look at. But that leads us to think about number five, capital expenditures. I'm not saying go out and just spend money on capital expenditures. I'm saying look at them and take advantage of the ones with paybacks. One extreme example, I have a client that is in the process of putting in an $80,000 sort gate. But we figured with 1.5 pounds of milk more per cow per day, and just from not locking up the cows, that will pay for itself in about 135 days. Maybe it takes 5 months, still a really quick payback. And the cool thing about it is it also allows them to reduce their full-time equivalents by 2 men. And that's the equivalent of $110,000 to $120,000 a year in savings. And these benefits, I will tell you, these benefits will continue for years, and that is a major payback. I had another client recently bought a slightly used 17-foot disc. It's going to cut the number of times he goes across the field by a third. Guess what? Big fuel savings. And fuel may be coming down in price, but at any given level, it's a savings. Solar panels are another possibility for you. I have a client that's looking at them with potentially saving $95,000 a year on utility costs. The point is, we can do more, and you can do more than just survive. Survival, I call it the amateur hour stuff. Anybody can do that. What we want to do is thrive. And I will leave you with this thought from Winston Churchill, who said, and I quote, "There ought to be ways of reforming a business other than just putting more money into it." End of quote. I want to wish you the best for this new year. Again, I'm John Ellsworth, founder of Success Strategies Incorporated and the creator of the Success Strategies Advantage. Thank you for listening today.